All right, welcome back everyone to this little segment that we affectionately call, we don't call it anything, we have no name for this segment, and so we need your help. We've thrown about a couple ideas, and one of the ideas is to call this the week link. You get it links last week and next week and links it together, but for some reason, I didn't like it because it made me, well, you know what it made me sound like, and I didn't want that. And so if you have an idea for what we could call this segment, we would love to hear from you. So please let us know what we could call this little weekly segment. But the purpose of this is to look back at last Sunday, to look forward to next Sunday, kind of what God is leading us through the scriptures to talk about. We finished our series last week on the peacemakers, and we looked at the idea that God has given us 4 G's to apply to our lives to help us resolve conflict in a godly way, that we glorify God, that we get the log out of our eye, that we gently restore relationships, and that ultimately we want to go and be reconciled. And so I encourage you, if you weren't there last week, to get a copy of that message, to pick up the book that we made available called The Peacemaker by Ken Sande. We handed out some brochures, and there's a class that's going to be offered in January. I encourage you to really get involved in those things, because I believe this is something central to the message of the church, is that we learn how to deal with each other in conflict in a way that glorifies God. And so I pray that our conflicts continue to bring Him glory and not glory to ourselves. This next week we're going to look at healing a little bit, and the idea that God can heal those relationships, the idea that God can heal us internally. You remember when you were a kid and you'd read the stories of the Bible, one of the things that really stood out to me was the stories of Jesus when He healed people, when He'd cast demons out of people, when people were raised from the dead. I remember reading those stories thinking, Jesus can do anything. And I had so much faith. But as time went by, the day-to-dayness of life begins to crowd those things out, and we wonder, is Jesus still really heal? We want to talk about this Sunday and take a good, godly, experiential, biblical look at the topic of healing. And on Sunday night, we want to be around each other as we experience a night of making things new in our lives. And so Nate's going to come on now, and he's going to talk to you about Sunday night, but I really encourage you to make a big effort to be at that Sunday night service. Hey, we'll see you on Sunday.
Thanks, Brock. We can always count on you for the week link. This Sunday night is going to be a really special night for us. And I do want to remind you that we are actually still going to have Sunday morning service as well as Sunday evening. But I want to talk to you just for a sec about Sunday evening. When I first came to Dallas and I was first starting into my career as being a worship leader, I really felt like I needed to have some kind of place where I could go and worship God, where I wasn't having to lead and I wasn't having to keep all these responsibilities. And so I would go out on Monday nights and I'd go up to the Metro worship service up at Prestonwood Baptist. And what I loved about that worship service is that I was going just by myself, but yet I was surrounded by a community of other people that were also worshiping at the same time. And so it was kind of like an individual worship experience among a community of other worshipers. And sometimes the other worshipers would be singing, and I would just close my eyes and stop singing just so that I could just think about the words, or so I could just be alone with God. Or sometimes everyone would be standing up and worshiping, and I would just sit down so that I could have a quiet time. And it was just like an individual, personal worship experience for myself. And that's what this night of worship is all about. It's really about a time set aside for you to be able to worship God in your own personal way. There will be opportunities for you to do things that are hands-on or tactile, things for you to actually do during the worship time. There will also be plenty of singing. There will be places for you to go and just be quiet or to pray with someone. It's all about how you connect best with God. And we just look forward to seeing you all there this Sunday night, 6 p.m. for All Things New.
All right, welcome back everyone to this little segment that we affectionately call, we don't call it anything, we have no name for this segment. And so